Oh my god, we're doing a top 5.
All of my friends show and put in the time. They're wasting their money and living a lie.
Yep, that's right. We're doing a top 5 TV shows to debut in 2014. Now what that means is the TV show had to begin, its first season had to start in 2014. I say we, but really it's more like my list. You see, Michael Smallwood and I, Smallwood being my co-host on Season Pass, the podcast all about TV shows that lasted one season or less, he doesn't really watch as many shows as I do, and even I am kind of behind on things because of, well, the podcast and the show where we watch stuff from like 1,000 years ago that nobody watched at the time and nobody watches now and nobody cares about, and that's why we have such low ratings, and oh my god, why am I doing this? So, here's my top 5 TV shows of 2014 that debuted in the year of 2014. But first, before we get into that, preamble to it please, we are going to talk about the one, the only, the list of honorable mentions. A lot of great comedies had to stay in the honorable mentions, unfortunately, including Scrotal Recall, Silicon Valley, and Broad City, all of which were some of the best laughs we had all year. Unfortunately, we're lazy and made a top 5. Forever, the latest in a long line of Highlander knockoffs over the years, succeeded in capturing our loins in casting English heartthrob and former Mr. Fantastic Ian Griffin. Unfortunately, while it's an addictive and fun show, it's not technically very well written. Gotham has to be mentioned, if only because it has so many invested followers, but we can't say much more than, well, it's got a premise, and not much else. Jesus Christ, it's terrible. Same thing can be said for the sometimes great, sometimes severely underwhelming Constantine, a show we'll probably be discussing in depth in the future, if the news of its impending cancellation is correct. Cosmos, The Affair, Manhattan, Penny Dreadful, and The Strain were also extraordinarily close to being in the top 5, but again, we're lazy and when we made a top 5. Also, I didn't watch Manhattan. Come on, I got things to do, nerds. While we, and by we I mean I, and by I mean the royal we, while we recommend all of those shows, here's my list of the top 5 TV shows to debut in 2014. Hand motion. Number 5, BoJack Horseman. I have a confession to make. I got very emotional about a crudely animated horse on television, and I am 100% comfortable with this lifestyle decision. Bringing up the rear is BoJack Horseman, a subversive cartoon that managed to do a lot more than many were expecting due to its aforementioned crude animation and premise that seemed more Adult Swim than Netflix. The idea of an aging former sitcom star attempting to write a biography and deal with love, friendship, and alcohol abuse is already captivating television, but when you make that actor a horse in a world of anthropomorphic animals, genius. There's so much to love about this show, it isn't even funny. I mean, it's funny, but gosh, that's a terrible phrase, huh? Anyway, it's like if Black Beauty snuck up on you dressed like The Hangover. The use of animals' natural characteristics within the universe created by Raphael Bob Waxberg and his team is one of my personal favorite aspects of the show, along with its amazing use of subtle jokes for repeat viewers.
Now day 3 of the great BoJack Jerk-Off. Really? That's the name we came up with for this? Who came up with that? Was it Randy? Did Randy come up with that?
Have Netflix? Watch this show. Don't have Netflix? What the fuck's wrong with you? Get Netflix. Watch this show. Problem solved. Duh. Moving on. At number 4, we have a program that many of you may very well disagree with, and that is perfectly fair. It's not a show that everyone is going to like or even care about, and some will even say that I have an unfair bias towards it, but it is The Flash. 2014, not 1990. Although that one's good too, you should watch those reviews. You should do that.
I am the fastest man alive.
Why? Because its parent show, Arrow, started off with many of its same weaknesses. A villain of the weak formula, nerd stereotype sidekicks, and a melodramatic romance angle. However, over the course of a 23-episode season, Arrow was out of the weeds and off to the races, and is now one of the best shows on TV. The Flash, accordingly, is already whizzing by in quality and showing that it's taken Arrow's lessons to heart. Yes, it could still fail, tail spinning into oblivion, but it can't be argued that this is an amazing step forward in superhero television, and opens up the doors to a menagerie of possibilities. The supporting players are progressing exceptionally fast, and it's very obvious that the writers actually care about the source material, unlike certain other comic book TV shows. Lastly, it's wonderful to see John Wesley Shipp as Barry's dad. Don't know who John Wesley Shipp is? Go watch the other season pass reviews. Just choose, just throw a stone and you'll fucking find a Flash review. John Wesley Shipp is permanently, his mug is permanently ingrained in my skull. Number 3, Fargo. Narrowing everything down to a top 5 list that's just going to be destroyed by critics and YouTube comments is messy business. And no show is better at messy business than our number 3 pick, Fargo. Taking place in the same universe as the 1996 Coen Brothers film, this pseudo-sequel is the latest in the recent trend of TV seasons being treated as segments of an anthology series. This concept, used most notably in Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story, does gangbusters with this tragedy of circumstance. The plot is a bizarre mixture of situational and regional comedy, with a dark and dramatic heart. So yeah, just like the movie. The zaniness of certain characters and actions certainly takes the proceedings out of the realm of possibility, but that's okay because Fargo is an exercise in myth-making more than anything else. And really, despite a few narrative hiccups, that's really the best way to describe the show. Mythic. Number 2, Transparent.
Boy, it is so hard when someone sees something you do not want them to see.
Another series starring Jeffrey Tambor as the patriarch of a dysfunctional, often borderline sociopathic family, but this time with a twist. He's a transsexual, which admittedly, as twists go, is pretty fucking good. Going into the show, you might expect it to be centered completely around Tambor's transformation, but much like the rest of the show's characters, it's downplayed surprisingly well. Sure, it's a shock, and there are plenty of scenes dedicated to his feminine character, but even his coming out is extended well beyond the punchline period you'd expect. It's more like watching a movie extended over the course of 10 episodes than anything else. That's what makes this the best comedy of the year, actually. It's all very downplayed, masterfully intertwining the dramatic and comedic elements. This keeps the viewer invested, and never once do we doubt what's happening on screen. It feels like real life. That can sometimes be depressing, sometimes heartfelt, sometimes intensely aggravating, but it can also be the most relatable type of humor. Oh, and there is lots of sex. Like, stupid amounts of sex. We're often thrown into montages of characters bone zoning, attempting to bone zone, or post-bone zoning. However, in a show where that's sort of the central theme, we won't hold that against them. The one caveat here is that this is a show about highly unlikable people. Tambor and a couple others aside, this is a terrible family. However, if you enjoy comedies about horrible people, all the better.
Well then, here we go.
Great.
Number 1, True Detective. If you didn't foresee this being our number 1 top TV show to debut in 2014, well, you're no detective. Eh? Yeah. True Detective was easily the top TV show of 2014. Like, I'm not even saying to debut in 2014. It was the best show in 2014. Doctor Who sucked. The less you know going in, the better. But suffice it to say that this is another in a new breed of television drama, the anthology. In this case, we're focused on 2 detectives, nihilistic Rust Cole and chauvinistic Marty Hart, both complete opposites who have to work together in order to solve a case drenched in pulpy southern grit and a complex, dark philosophy that's hard to forget. This is the kind of show where you have to wash your clothes to get the smell out, and even then, it's going to stay with you. Since even all that is giving a lot away when you should be going in fresh, just go watch it. That's how we're going to leave it at just go watch the goddamn thing. You know, the hype train for season 2 is leaving the station. Get on that shit. Honky tonk. Do it. And that's it. That's our first list for the season pass video thingy, which is still a name I'm not very comfortable with, but that's okay. Thank you for being a part of this experience so far with us. 2014 was very much our stumbling year. We made a lot of mistakes, a lot of not such mistakes, but there was a learning curve, and we are now finding our footing. In the future, we'll have longer, more comprehensive lists and special exclusive feature things that aren't just reviews of The Flash, which we'll be doing until 2027. And very excited. I am super excited for what we have planned. So until next time, I'm Michael Keane, and this has been Season Pass Video Thinging, the video version of the podcast all about TV shows. Fuck, god damn it, that's the worst time for a burp. Until next time, I'm Michael Keane, and this has been Season Pass Video Thingy, the video version of the podcast all about TV shows that lasted one season or less. Until next time, I'm Michael Keane, and this has been Season Pass Video Thingy, the video version of... Until next time, I'm Michael Keane. Until next time, I'm Michael Keane, and this has been... Until next time, I'm Michael Keane. You're Michael Keane. Until next time, I am Michael Keane, and this has been Season Pass Video Thingy, the video version of the podcast, the original podcast, all about TV shows that lasted one season or less. Holy shit, Ace, why did you have to look through the blinds right then? God damn it, motherfucking stupid dog. Okay. Bye.
Peanut butter disaster.